Thank you and welcome everyone to our Surrey FA support session. We're really pleased to be having this tonight, and thank you for joining us and thank you for taking your time out of your evening to join us. I'll start with some housekeeping. You would have seen it in my emails, but just to reiterate, please stay on mute and your video off at all times. It'd be nice for the Q&A if you do have a question that you don't submit before. If you do want to turn your camera on, and that'd be nice to see a face. And also, we have a little chat function right at the top. It is the second one in, should be show conversation. It should have just alerted orange because Ashley's just put something in, which is great. So you should be able to see that. And if you have a question throughout, I'll be monitoring. So please send in your questions if you have some throughout, whether it's for a certain person. If you please let us know who that is, or if not, don't worry. And we will hopefully get those questions asked at the end in a Q&A session. So on tonight's call, we have our CEO, Sally Lockyer, our football development manager and women and girls lead, Emma Barnes, our education and workforce manager, Ashley Gumbrell, and also our football development officer and adult youth male lead, Rob Bryant, who will be joining us in hopefully a few minutes. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Sally, who will give you an update about Surrey FA.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining. Thanks to my team for hosting tonight as well. The club calls are something we started at the beginning of COVID, and it seemed to be well received. So we're keen to continue these sessions for clubs. And I'll just give you a very sort of brief update in relation to, specifically in relation to clubs. I'm pleased to say that with the completion of the last Football Foundation Fund, Surrey FA clubs have now received over £1 million of financial support during the COVID period. It's one thing that goes to perhaps slightly help you from a financial perspective, and we're really pleased so many clubs have been able to benefit from that financial support. We think it's really important that we're able to let you know as soon as we do, hot off the press, that these grants are being announced and released, and we send those directly to clubs and leagues to make sure that you get first sight of that really early. There's a new one that's just come out from Sport England that was announced, I think it was on Friday. So that's for clubs and organisations. Check out our social media and you'll see all the details and the links through to Sport England for that. I'm sure, as you all know, just trying to just navigate your way through all the different guidance that's out there. It comes out thick and fast sometimes, and it's trying to interpret that guidance as best as we can on the ground. And again, what we try to do is make sure that gets circulated to clubs and leagues as quickly as possible. We've set up internally in Surrey what we're calling sort of joint COVID officers to make sure that we review and respond to the evolving guidance. And we're looking to host a webinar or a call a little bit like this for COVID officers in clubs. That was suggested actually by one of our clubs. Seems like a great idea, and we'll be doing that very, very shortly. I think the other thing that's important is that, particularly with the new tiers, that we link with other county FAs to try as best as we can to ensure that we all take a standard approach and keep things as simple as we can. And finally, we've worked with the leagues to put some best practice guidance together that simplifies some of the guidance that is out there. We do recognise it's a really challenging time right now. So anything that we can do, and we're happy to respond to requests and suggestions. So keep them coming, and we'll do our best to support you. I'm happy to take a couple of quick questions at this point. I think Marcus has had a couple that have come in before I hand over to the rest of the team to take you through the agenda for this evening.
So yeah, we've had a few questions from beforehand from our forums. One for you, Sally, was the Football for All League, our Football for All League for disability participants. Someone's asked, will there be any funding available, or will there be any support in the future for the league? Whether even if it's a case of who they contact for that as well, possibly.
Sure. Great question. Obviously, I think with disability football, we know that that's perhaps going to be one of the the last areas, sadly, to come back up to speed. We will, of course, will support the league moving forward. The questions on grant funding and additional financial support is always one that I get asked a lot. So if it's out there, we'll try and find it. I think that what we've had to do in terms of Surrey FA and our funding cut from the FA, we've had to make some changes internally, and disability football will, for the time being, be split and handled across the wider football development team. So I think the best thing at this point to do is to keep in touch with the football development team, and any particular direct questions that you've got on anything specific, we can come back to you and take that one offline.
Thank you, Sally. Our second one that came through was, so if coronavirus puts an end to the season, what plans and procedures are in place to ensure this has as little as possible financial impact on non-league clubs and grassroots clubs?
Wow, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? Crikey, we're all hoping that we can somehow continue to play football, and I think one of the most important things that we can do is to make sure we follow the guidance. We know that government watches what different sports are doing, and the more that we can follow guidance, the longer we have the opportunity to continue playing. We're, as a county FA, constantly working on different scenarios and plans. I think what we would continue to do would be to work with the various different other stakeholders and make sure from a financial perspective that support continues. From a financial perspective, and from a playing perspective, I think at the start of COVID, we always said it's important to follow government and FA guidance, and that's what we continue to do. And if and when that happens, our contingency plans will come into practice. And again, what we'll do is make sure that we have very quick communication with all the clubs and leagues if indeed that does happen.
Thanks, Sally. Before I hand over, does anyone who's on the chat right now have any questions for Sally, for anyone on the call beforehand, before they even start speaking? And if you do, feel free to put your video on, turn your mic on, and ask that question as well. If you do, I'll just be silent for a few seconds to see if anyone does. No worries if you don't. Sounds good. So I'll hand over to Emma, who will, I believe, do a Charter Standard update.
Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Sally. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. So bear with me. Okay, right, hopefully you can all see this. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Charter Standard and give you a little bit of an update of where we're actually at with it in general, for those of you that are not yet Charter Standard clubs and for those of you that are existing Charter Standard clubs. So the reason that clubs become Charter Standard is to improve the experience for volunteers, players and parents. So a quote that I really like is, you wouldn't send your child to a swimming lesson with an unqualified swimming teacher. So this is exactly the same principle. Why would you choose to send your child to a football club that hasn't got coaches that are qualified, got relevant qualifications such as safeguarding, first aid and DBS checks? So it's a kite mark that we want every club in Surrey to eventually have. At the moment, there's some good incentives from the FA to become a Charter Standard club, and I'm just going to pop these up. So if you're a new club, at the moment, the FA have revamped their package, which is very heavily digital side. So you get a welcome pack, you get your certificate, you get lots of promotional assets that include logos, banners you can pop on your website, you can use on any promotional flyers that you send out, you can put the logo on your kit as well. You get some footballs, and you also get access to redeem kit equipment packages through Kit Locker. Our existing clubs get a very similar package as well. And you can see all of that information listed there. Now, what myself and the football development team are currently doing is looking at how we can add to this package as Surrey FA, And we'd be really interested to know from those clubs that are currently charter standard, and maybe those that are thinking or undecided on whether to become charter standard, what other benefits would you like to see from Surrey FA to entice you to get that kite mark? So some of the ideas that have been thrown around as maybe a first aid kit to chuck that into the package as well. Anything that would help you as a club and make that much more worthwhile. I'm happy for you to chuck ideas into the chat this evening, or you can contact me separately afterwards this as well. So obviously COVID-19 has had a massive impact on the FA and the county FA's ability to offer face-to-face education, and Ashley will talk about that in more depth following this presentation. And some of you should be aware now that for this season, so 2020-2021, there will not be an annual health check for charter standard clubs. So those of you that are charter standard clubs, you'll know that every season you go through an annual health check, checking that you've got all your relevant coaches with qualifications in date, DBSs, etc., etc. This season, the FA have waived that. So for this, you do not need to do an annual health check this year. It will come back into force the following season. But that does mean now for this season, there are some interim criteria in place. Hopefully you can see this. It's quite small. When I put it on there, I didn't then realise. But so there's some courses online now. So these apply to if you are looking to become charter standard club or if you are an existing charter standard club. So the FA Playmaker course is an introductory course. So if as soon as someone turns 14, you can take this course. It's not replacing the level 1 course, but at the moment, if you're a club looking to become charter standard, we will accept the FA Playmaker course in place of the level 1 for this season only. So if you are very close to becoming charter standard, this season is a great season for you to get that accreditation, because this is an online course that you can do. It's also a fantastic course for people that are maybe want to dip their toe in the water, might not be decided if they want to take a level 1 course, but they can maybe have a little go at this one online, and then the next step will be the level 1. And it's also great for those young players you've got in your club that have just turned 14 again and want to get a little bit more information about what coaching's all about. So part of that FA Playmaker course, there's a safeguarding element in there, and you'll see below there that it's sort of an introductory course. It doesn't replace the online safeguarding course that you will do your renewal for, or you'll come and do the 3-hour course at Meadowbank, but you can do that separately. So if you've got people whose safeguarding is running out, or they want to get a little bit of experience, there's another safeguarding online course there for them. Moving on to the medical side of things. So again, Ashley will go into more detail about emergency aid and the first aid courses, but there's 2 online courses now. So if you are a new club, and particularly for adult clubs, because one of the main criteria for an adult club wanting to become charter standard is that emergency aid qualification. So every team would need to have someone that's done an FA first aid course, but obviously they're not readily available at the moment, but you can take these 2 modules and that would account for or be the same as doing the first aid course just for this season only. So there's a module for concussion and a module for sudden cardiac arrest. But as stated below, they do not replace the level 1 and the medical qualifications. So after this season, fingers crossed, we'll be back to normal and you will be able to actually attend more courses. So in terms of support from our team, this is our football development team at the moment, or football development officers team. So there's 3 of us. So I'm the football development manager, and then Rob, who's on the call, he's football development officer, lead for male football, and Dominic, he's our football development assistant, and he leads on Wildcats and futsal. So you'll see the map there, colour coded. It's all the yellow areas of the boroughs that I cover. Rob's are in blue and Dominic's are in red. So if wherever your club falls within the county, that is your relevant point of contact for any club support or league support. So if you're a Surrey Heath, Woking, Runnymede, Elmbridge or Guildford club, please do get in contact with me. I can support you with your charter standard applications. I think that is it. Because I'm happy to take questions now, or I'm happy to wait till the end.
Thanks, Emma. Does anyone have any questions now, or if not, we can move on to Ashley. If you do have questions, feel free to ask them now. If not, I will hand over to Ashley Gumbrough.
Okay, evening everyone. My name's Ashley, Education and Workforce Manager, and I oversee the recruitment, training and support that we offer to referees, coaches and our volunteer workforce. So that's from welfare officer workshops all the way through to safeguarding, club official workshops, etc. So anything that falls into education of anyone within our volunteer workforce or paid workforce comes through myself and my team. Emma has kind of mentioned the Charter Standard, and I know a number of you will be Charter Standard clubs and you'll be wondering, and we have a lot of inquiries around coach education and first aid and safeguarding, and people haven't met the previous criteria. So the slides that Emma mentioned, I've just put in the chat box. If you want to view the interim Charter Standard guidance for coaches and officials within your club, so the changes to emergency aid, etc., the changes to safeguarding or the changes to coaching, and you're worried about some of your coaches may have had expired certificates and you're worried about Charter Standard accreditation, as Emma has said, that's obviously changed, and I've put the interim Charter Standard criteria for this season into the chat box, so you can have a look at that if you want to in your own time. It's just a 3 or 4 page PDF and it spells out the changes for yourselves. So I know we have some questions around emergency aid courses or introduction to first aid for football coaching. We currently have 1 course available, so if you go onto our website, a number of the courses are already full, so the demand was quite high, and we have put on additional 3 courses. So if you've got people in your club that want to do a face-to-face introduction to first aid course, and they would rather do the face-to-face to have the full qualification, that's fine. We do have spaces available on the 2nd of December course, and I think we've still got around about 8 to 9 spaces, and we can only accept 12 people, so it is sort of first come first served. If for whatever reason you have someone in your club that wants to do the face-to-face qualification and they're happy to attend and have all the additional PPE requirements that we have, and they don't mind and they want to travel to Medibank, then that's absolutely fine. Let us know, and if there's enough people, we will run an additional course and run an additional date in December or possibly the new year. If not, then you can follow the interim Charter Standard guidance, and they can complete the online interim online courses that the FA have, so the concussion and the cardiac arrest courses, but that isn't a full first aid qualification at this stage. In terms of course delivery timeline, so a number of you may have heard or read on our website that we made the very difficult decision as a department and as a wider organisation that we were only going to run coach and referee education and club administrator support for anyone that had already started a course pre-lockdown. So obviously we had quite literally hundreds of people that had booked spaces, but their courses hadn't started. And with the COVID restrictions, we simply felt it wasn't appropriate and it wouldn't have been right within the current circumstances to take people's money and put them on a course whereby the delivery was going to be really restricted and changed massively from what they first expected. So we took the decision to support the level 1, level 2 and UEFA B learners and any referees that had already started to sort of get them completed so they weren't left in limbo for the rest of the season. Fully appreciate through the demand that we've had and from the contact we've had from a number of people that others would like to go on the course, and I fully understand that, and it's been a really tricky decision for us, but we've taken the decision not to do any delivery of new courses. As I say, we will continue to do safeguarding, first aid and welfare officer workshops where we can to help support young people in particular in the clubs, but other than that we won't be doing any new courses. To add to that as well, so that was our stance up until December, and you may or may not know that the FA have decided, FA Learning that is, who sits above, so we have FA Learning and then the county FAs. So FA Learning have taken the decision to review and change their course structure. So obviously with so much stuff happening online and there being an increased demand and the way people learn changing, from March and April in 2021, they are going to upload and change the delivery. So the level 1, the level 2, the first aid courses, the safeguarding, the welfare officer workshops will be delivered in a slightly different way. Some of that content will be delivered online, and it will reflect the changes that people have wanted and have demanded for a few years. In terms of timeline of when those courses will be available, we don't know what the content of those courses is going to look like. That's still up in the air and to be confirmed. As soon as we know, we will pass that information out, and I know the FA will contact you and your officials and your referees and the administrators directly. We're hoping for sort of November, December that we will receive some further information from the FA around what those new suite of courses will look like. What I can confirm is from the end of December, or when we break for Christmas, all the way through until March, there will be no new level 1, level 2, UEFA B or referee courses of any sort anywhere in the country. There will be a sort of hiatus, if you like, where the FA takes stock, start to advertise the new courses and accept bookings and explain the new content and advertise the new content to learners. So from January to March, there won't be any new course delivery of any kind, so we won't be taking bookings. But we do have an expression of interest form, so if you would like to be the first to hear about the new courses when we find details, then if you go to the chat box, I have put the course expression of interest form. The learner, the administrators, the coaches, whoever it is, the referees, if they go to that, they can select the course that they're interested in. And as soon as we know further details from FA Learning about the new suite of courses, we will obviously then alert you to say these are the new courses that you'd express an interest in, and we'll send you the details of those. So please sign up to that. I think we've already got over 400 people that have signed up and want to take part, so please sign up there. Welfare Officer Workshop. So I know a number of people had asked questions around the new Welfare Officer Workshop. That course was temporarily suspended while new changes were in the offing. I think every club and every proposed Welfare Officer Workshop or club welfare officer or club secretary has been written to by the FA directly to confirm that there is now a new welfare officer workshop, and that will be delivered online. So that is available this month or next month. I think they start to do sign up. So there will be a number of slots each week, and that course, previously face-to-face, will now be delivered as an online workshop and facilitated by the FA. So they will send you details and you can book on. Every club's been contacted about those, and we will have details on our website, so you can book on, and it'll be an online session run nationally at the FA as opposed to in county. And the final thing in terms of workforce support, so I talked about our role of recruiting, retaining and supporting. So moving to supporting in our CPD, our continuous professional development. I have got some exciting CPD opportunities coming up for coaches, for parents, and for parents that also act as coaches. So we're trying to diversify the amount of CPD we offer, and it's traditionally always been for coaches or referees, but we are trying to support parents. We are also trying to support club administrators as well, and diversify how we do that. So again, in the chat function, I've put the links to the 3 courses. So we've got a great sports parenting course, so that's for parents of the under 7 to under 10 age groups to engage in conversations around what great sports parenting looks like. We've also got a workshop on building positive relationships. That's aimed at coaches and or parents, and how those coaches and parents can interact together. And finally, and one of our most popular ones, actually, the bookings have gone through the roof already this week, we've got a role of parent coaches. So if there are any coaches on the call who are also parents and they coach their children, then we've got a really popular workshop being run by an organisation working with parents in sport organisation. They're delivering those workshops, and that course has been really popular. It's £5 to attend. It's all online. We record the sessions, and there's loads of content and books to go with it. So if you're interested in any of those, please do let us know. I think, Marcus, I am pretty much done. Obviously happy to take questions.
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, that brings us to the end of our presentation.